Well, hello, and welcome to the Evil Apostate Show. Yep, I found some more. Whoa. Look. Jehovah's Happy People. Too bad they don't show the pedophiles in the background. And I wonder if there are any subliminal images in this. I wonder if there's Satan. No. Jesus. Demons in Jesus' hair. Didn't you guys did you love that one? I couldn't believe it. I saw that demon that the art department drew in Jesus' hair, and oh my goodness. I've got people pulling up and they're like, oh my God, a real crazy person. Anyway, would you like to know the truth? We've got some nice little questions here. I'm going to move away so that I'm not scaring people away. Does God really care about us? Will war and suffering ever end? What happens to us when we die? Is there any hope for the dead? How can I pray and be heard by God? Tell your worldly friends, this is what you do when a Jehovah's Witness comes to the door. Ask them, speaking of prayer, ask them to say the Lord's Prayer with you. Ask them to say any prayer with you. Just pray with me right now. Or you can tell them when they knock on your door, tell them to open the door and say, I'm demonized. Cast the devil out of my home. You want to get rid of a Jehovah's Witness? Those are 2 tips that you can use and tell your worldly friends to use. They'll never come back again, ever. Now, you know what I noticed? That's my holistic center right there. I don't know if you can see it. Now, they went into a building where they have yoga, evil yoga, and other evil New Age practices. Let's see. Okay, I can't read the sign from here, but it is satanic and it is evil, and they went in there and they left it where the food is, but when I went upstairs to the holistic center, I noticed that there wasn't any literature there. Everybody else left their business cards, their Reiki cards, their healing energy cards. They left everything, but not jw.org. Well, gee, I wonder why. I'm not even going to bother to read the rest of this bullshit, but I can't believe that I was a part of this and that I'm still not recovered from it. After 25 years, I'm still wounded in action from, well, let me see. My mother converted when I was like 8 or something. I just remember the Christmas tree, going out the door and never coming back again. There is no greater treasure to be found, period, okay? Bible truth liberates us from superstition, confusion, and morbid fear. Okay, aren't these the creators of... Hey, do you guys know that Jehovah's Witnesses are pedophiles? Have you seen the news? Have you seen the Australian Commission? Oh, don't worry, you're not on camera. They won't see you. Yeah, they're pedophiles. They harbor pedophiles.
I don't know.
The Catholic Church, I mean, it's all over the news and everything, but Jehovah's Witness headquarters, they've been harboring pedophiles for quite a few years now. And people are winning cake courses. I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness. Yeah.
My father?
No.
Jehovah's Witness.
Is he?
Take your soliciting somewhere else.
Well, have you looked at it on the internet?
I'm sure it's everywhere.
It's not any, well, yeah, it is everywhere, but the fact that they're harboring them is not good. It is nothing against your father, but the organization, the guys who are in charge.
Like, if you didn't talk to us, I'd like to enjoy my ride on the bike.
Were you raised a Jehovah's Witness?
It's actually quite none of your business.
Okay. Well, have a good evening. Anyway, let's go. Well, I don't want to get run over. She was raised a Jehovah's Witness, and her father's a Jehovah's Witness, and she got mad at me because I was telling her about the pedophile cases and that the governing body, you know, they harbor pedophiles. And I mentioned the cases in the news, and she's like ready to run me over with that motorcycle. Have a nice day. And she had some choice words for me just then. And what is she doing with a worldly guy anyway? Anyway. There is no greater treasure to be found. Bible truth liberates us from superstition, confusion, and morbid fear. It gives us hope, purpose, and joy. Jesus said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Just like those children who were victims of the pedophiles I was talking about a minute ago. And all the rest of us. I think there are more Jehovah's Witnesses coming out. I think I better run for my life. You know something? I was just thinking that if, recently I was thinking that if Jehovah's Witnesses, if it was legal, because the Pope, like, he threw his butler in jail. If Jehovah's Witnesses could do that, we'd all be in prison. We'd all be in lockdown right now. And if they could kill us the way the Catholic Church used to kill their heretics, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now, would we? They harbor pedophiles, and then they use trauma-based mind control. And it just amazes me that the rank and file people, like that chick back there, they have no clue. And I haven't looked at any literature since I left. I have not looked at any literature since oh yeah, wait a minute. A laundromat recently, but that was just to get rid of it. But that was before I knew about the Freemasonry, the subliminal messages. And you know what? I'm feeling a little agitated because that caught me off guard. I had no idea she was raised a Jehovah's Witness. But I'm doing so well right now. If that had been, like, I remember back in the day when I was disfellowshipped, and even when I knew about the false prophecies and that's all I knew, even when that happened, when they would come in and they'd recognize me, it was before I made my great escape from Massachusetts, they would shake me up. And I was doing fine. You know, the JW.org cart was over by Main Street, you know, earlier in the summer. And that didn't freak me out, but whoa, she had some vibes. I didn't put the camera on them because, you know, that wouldn't have been right to do anyway. But she was furious with me. She was so mad. And so that's what I'm feeling. She wouldn't look me in the eyes, though. She would not, my eyes were like on her, and she never looked me in the eyes. He did, but she didn't look me in the eyes. I don't know, maybe she thought she was going to get possessed or something, I don't know. Boo! Alright, anyway, I'm carrying my veggies. I've got all my organic veggies that I got, you know, from my juicer, and I have some herbal supplements and everything, you know, because I'm trying to take care of myself. So I would do more. I'd open this thing up and we could, you know, have a nice little discussion about what we know they're really up to, don't we? And it really isn't funny. I'm being funny, but it just that I have this reaction to someone raised a Jehovah's Witness who's afraid to look me in the eyes, and I've got this fight or flight thing. I say, you know, it's like, wow, to get this stuff out of you. I'm not afraid of her, but I'm in fight or flight mode. But I never could have done that, ever. Because I didn't know. Oh, that's where I got lost back there. I didn't know that, about the subliminal images, the Freemasonry, the art department and everything. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about their Freemasonry. I didn't know what Freemasons did until I started listening to ex-Freemasons who weren't Jehovah's Witnesses, but they talk about, you know, they have their apostates too. They talk about what they had to do in order to reach those high ranks to that 33rd degree level and up. And it's not pretty. And there's nothing Christian about it either for you Christians out there. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish running my errands. And I definitely need a tree right now. I seriously need a tree. I need some prana. I need some air. I need to go chill out because I am like freaked. Whoa! Of all the people, Soul Fitness Diva had to choose a Jehovah's Witness. Ah! People staring at me. Okay, this has been fun, but it's just, it's bittersweet. We all know that. Anyway, I hope you guys are okay. And I will see you, I don't know, next time I go live. Bye! Hi guys, it's me again. Well, I found myself a tree. I'm sitting here in nature, and I'm sitting in a safe spot here. And, you know, one of the things that they taught me in, you know, the recovery organizations that I've been a part of over the years, and the philosophies that they, you know, that they teach. And one of them is to do the fearless and searching moral inventory. And another is basically, it's a technique called spotting, where it's just basically an introspection, and with their philosophy, they teach you how to identify where the negative emotions are coming from, to identify where, you know, the fear is coming from. And after I did that last video, Evil Apostate, and I mean, come on, of all people, you know, I'm a believer in destiny. I know that there are a lot of people who just believe that we're just here and we don't know why, and that's all there is to it, and that's that. But, you know, I am convinced, and I know this is subjective, I can't prove this to you or anyone else, but I am convinced that I ran into a Jehovah's Witness in person like that for a reason. I don't know what each of our purpose is here. I know that this is an insane world. There's evil, there's horrible things, but, you know, I really do believe that there's a bigger picture. And something just wasn't right. I started reading the Bible on my own, and I was reading the story of the prodigal son. I was reading Psalms, I was reading Proverbs. And it dawned on me one day that these people were going to their Creator, confessing their sin, and being embraced. And I went to the phone, and I called my Jehovah's Witness mother, And I shared that with her, and before I could even finish, she was calling me every kind of evil slave class, apostate, and turning against the brothers, and this is what she was giving me. How did I become an apostate? How I became an apostate was sometime after my mother. I had that I got blasted by my mother. Sometime after that, I turned on the television. It was so random. I was scrubbing the bathroom floor. I hadn't been watching television at that time in my life. I just was very depressed and just very introspective at that time. And I'm scrubbing the bathroom floor, and it's as if something switched on a light switch. And I got up, I went into the other room, and I switched on the television, and I heard the word Watchtower. And that thing that they tell us to do, that when we come across apostate literature, to immediately turn away from it, it didn't even occur to me to do that. I kept listening. It was the Oprah show. It was the Oprah show, and there was a panel of ex-elders, other ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, telling their testimony. One elder, they were trying to get him to they tried to get him to let his baby daughter die, needing a blood transfusion. And I'm listening to this, and then that led to me contacting Cult Awareness. And after contacting Cult Awareness, they gave me the information of a support group in Massachusetts, my home state. And I wasn't going to believe that it wasn't the truth until I saw it in our own literature. And this elder who held these meetings every month had that library that mysteriously disappeared, back in the day. He had all the literature with all the dates, all the false prophecies, and then there was my decision. And my intellect was way ahead of my emotions. My emotions were far, far behind. And I was so devastated. My whole world, everything that was my future, everything that was my life, turned out to be a lie. And if I start crying on the video, I'm having a serious flashback. That really freaked me out, but I'm gonna do this. If I have to stop and cry and keep speaking, then I'm going to do it. Anyway, I was so devastated that I had to go to the hospital. I couldn't stop sobbing. I couldn't stop having panic attacks. I mean, it was just bad. And the only people who reached out to me, now that I was completely isolated, I couldn't go to my family. They were Jehovah's Witness, and they were alcoholic and abusive, and it was just, I couldn't do it. So I had no one. And I did have an aunt who belonged to a hellfire and brimstone Pentecostal church. But I had a little girl in kindergarten who, by the way, before all of this happened, I did ask the elders if the sisters could help me with her and not have anything to do with me, because I'm evil and all this. And they told me that I was on my own, and basically that's a whole other story within the story. But I saw it in our own literature. I saw everything, and I went to Cult Awareness, and the ex-elder, gave me a free copy of Crisis of Conscience. And I read that. I had to keep throwing the book. I mean, I just would read it so far, and I'd, get this whole fight or flight thing, and I'd have to throw the book, and I'd run to the other side of the house, and then when I calmed down, I came back to the book, kept reading, and that's how I got through Crisis of Conscience. But back to this, these Pentecostal people, I was so devastated. And they were the only ones who came to the hospital to see me. My aunt and her female pastor, which like that freaked me out because women, I forbid a woman to teach, etc., etc. And so I was able to leave the hospital because of the Pentecostal people, because of my aunt's preacher. And they literally came into my home and helped me with my kids. My ex-husband, he had to work, and they were like right there. Once you study psychology and you learn, about the subconscious mind and, how when we go through traumas, things will get pushed to the back and kind of put on file and just pretty much like disappear. But what happens is that later on in life, and it tends to be in midlife that this happens, and bingo, that's what happened to me, everything that I wasn't able to face, because I was at their church. And, the Pentecostal people, they told us at the Kingdom Hall that talking in tongues, it's demons. And I had this terror of demons. We all had this terror of demons, and that's the trauma-based mind control. All of us respond to it. There are variations, but that's the deal. That's what we had to deal with. So when I saw those people, talking in tongues, when I saw people slain in the spirit, falling out on the floor and like literally, they were knocked out. They were out. They were out. They were not even like laying on the floor and emotional. Some of them were doing that too. My intellect could read the Acts scripture, the scripture in Acts, and the whole speaking in tongues thing and all of that Christians fight about. But my emotional self was not ready for that. And I began having the self-fulfilling prophecy that Rutherford dreamed up to traumatize his leaders into making him rich. Or to traumatize them and get rich by doing that. He got his mules, and that's what he did. And that spell that he cast, that if you ever leave Jehovah, if you ever leave, you will be attacked by demons. And it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, not because you're intentionally doing it, but it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because even though you were programmed, born into it, whatever, now that you're an adult, you're the gatekeeper by default. And it's a subconscious program. And that's why when you take in knowledge and you learn, what Watchtower really is, at its deepest root, which is terrifying in itself, because there's no way back then that I would have been ready for the whole thing with the Baphomet and the subliminal images, the demonic images, in the fig tree and Jesus' hair, all that stuff. There's no way I ever, this was like just the prophecies that losing my entire worldview. That was just so completely devastating. And not knowing what God was, not knowing what was going to happen to me. This is what was going on. But everything just went under the surface. One day, it just all went away. And it all came back up 20-something years later to be dealt with. And that's how psychologists will tell you that this is what happens with trauma. Things that get buried will resurface in, midlife, sometimes sooner than that. So all this stuff came up, and I had to face the whole, I'm not going to explain all the details and everything, but there were circumstances that arose on my spiritual path and during my seeking where all this stuff came back up again, and I was right back where I was in 1988, 1989, in 2008. It all resurfaced, like those coffins pushing up out of the earth in Poltergeist. That was what was happening. All this stuff was coming up, and it shut everything down. I had to stop going to school. I had to stop working. I mean, I had to focus completely on my recovery from Watchtower and my other abuse issues, as you know, growing up as well. So here I am in 2016. Oh, wait a minute. I need to talk about the other confrontations that came about as a result of having to face that. I had to, I couldn't even say the word demon. Just like in 88, 89, and then in 2008, I couldn't even say the word demon without going into a panic. I couldn't face Satan. I couldn't say that. Just, somebody made the suggestion to me that Watchtower was part of the Illuminati, which scared the living shit out of me. And once I began to learn more, after what happened to me in 2008, it was like a, and you know, the atheists aren't going to like this, but it was like there was this presence, this peaceful, guiding presence that helped me to get through each facing of everything. It started with reading Bible scriptures and reading the scriptures that, you know, about the demons, about Jesus casting out the demons. Now, fundamentalists are not afraid of the devil the way that Jehovah's Witnesses are. The way that it works with the Jehovah's Witnesses is that, you know, there's no safe place to run. There's no safe place to hide. You know, there is the so anyway, there's no safe place to run, no safe place to hide. And
Hey, it was woman who created sin too.
Thank you.
It was Eve who was deceived by Satan, the Garden of Eden, who was tricked to eat the fruit, the tree of life. God told her not to. Then she went back and tricked Adam up and created sin.
And thank you for sharing that. Anyway, okay, so anyway, as I was saying, before Mr. Preacher Man went walking, I'm attracting them tonight. First it was the Jehovah's Witnesses, that's what I was raised in, and now a fundamentalist just went walking by, you know, condemning women because Eve was the reason why, you know, the world is the way it is, because it's a woman's fault. But you go back and you do your history about where the Bible came from. I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go next to my tree. Damn it. I'm going to do this. Okay. So, now, where did I leave off? Before Mr. Preacher Man, fundamentalist, evangelical walked by. First a Jehovah's Witness, now one of them. Okay. Next thing was during that time period where I was facing and recuperating, the thing that happened was there was this guiding force. There was this guiding force. Oh, by the way, he was drunk off his ass while he was doing it. And I'm going to get to the fundamentalists in a minute. I'll get back to that. But there was this peaceful guiding force that I can't say that that's real for you. I can't say, you know, it is subjective. But there I was, and the right people at the right time would show up at perfect times. And it would happen over and over and over again. The right information would cross my path, whether it was the internet or whether it was something where I switched on the television and there was a documentary, or whether it was at the video store and somebody put out a film and it would touch on something that would answer a question for me, and then I was able to make progress. I mean, this was happening over and over and over again. And part of that recovery process, you know, after 2008, getting into 2009, getting into 2010, so much had happened that brought me to a place of being able to read the scriptures and, you know, to say the word, you know, demon, and to read the passages of Jesus casting out the demons and all of that, you know, and going from a place of being terrified and feeling this peaceful guiding presence, even though I was afraid. I was terrified. Because that was a program. That came from Rutherford. Rutherford did this. And vulnerable people bought into it, and they had kids, and they raised their kids in it, and everybody was I'm running out of space here. But I had dreams where I saw myself in a place where I was stronger, where I was able to confront the demons. Basically, I had a dream about Jesus, and I won't go into the details right now because I'm running out of time. My phone is like getting ready to die right now. But what I just went through, all of this reaction, all of this fear, that's how deep the root goes. You know, it is a subconscious program. And confronting a Jehovah's Witness after so many points on my path where I had to face, and it was another level of facing, and another level of facing, and so many levels of facing. And then the next thing, I'm doing videos, I'm doing, you know, there are people out there who have seen my videos and said that they were helped. I've written to people. I'm able to watch videos now. I'm able to be on Facebook. Couldn't do that before back in 2008, because now it's 2011, 2012. You know, I'm learning about the subconscious mind, you know, deeper into psychology, and it's going on and on and on. And I hadn't reached a place where I had to confront my first Jehovah's Witness. And that happened a few minutes ago, as you saw. And I had that fight or flight reaction. But I didn't have a panic attack. Sitting by the tree when the fundamentalist dude went by, it was starting to reach that place where I was feeling panic. But I've reached a place where I was able to just stand up and stand next to my tree and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to get this out. Even though my phone is ready to go out in a minute now. Yeah. And the timing, I just turned on the phone and just decided to do this because I saw the jw.org literature, and it was only supposed to be a joke. It wasn't supposed to turn into a confrontation with a real live Jehovah's Witness, with an apostate like myself. But that's what happened. And I really do believe that all happened for a reason. In spite of the hell and the misery on this earth, we don't know the bigger picture. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I know that for me personally, she was put on that path. That thing happened because now it was time for Debbie to do another level of facing. And I am facing, I am triggered, but I'm not like I was back in 1988. I'm not like I was back in 2008. And then when Mr. Fundamentalist, because they got to me too. I joined their movement, they instilled their fear in me, and that's where that other wave of fear and fight or flight came from. Came right from Mr. Drunk Pastor dude over there. And it's like, okay, I know what this is. I know what this is. This is a Rutherford program. This is a Southern Baptist Convention program. And I'm not even going to get into the other deeper levels of what I believe where all that stuff comes from. But I did this video. I'm pretty much done. I faced it. I faced my first Jehovah's Witness. She hated me. She wanted to run me over with her motorcycle, with her worldly boyfriend. My father's a Jehovah's Witness. Don't talk to her. And it hurt, you know, because she's supposed to be someone that was a part of my world, that, you know, where I was molded and grew up and everything. But I'm taking it. I'm standing in the ring, and I'm taking it, and I'm standing. So, anyway, I'm going to stop before I run out of phone time here. I don't have my glasses on. I can't read you guys' comments, so I'll have to read them when I get, I don't want to call it home, when I get to my room. And that is what I believe happened tonight. That it was just time for another level of facing. And, you know, Watchtower's programming, you know, facing more of it, facing the residue, facing what is left. And just, you know, there's this thing in the medical field where, you know, it's suctioning. You're suctioning out infection. You know, it's like this, I've seen the nurses do it, but it's like wounds and boils and everything, and then you have to, like, you know, it's a suction thing. And then when you see the container, it's got all this nasty green and black and snot and mucus, all this infection. That's Watchtower. That's the Fundy Baptist Asylum. That's what it is. Okay, you guys have a great night. I'm gonna go home, and I will see you next time. I hope you're all well, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.